Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thank you for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. I know that you spend a significant portion of your life at work, so I'm on a mission to provide you with tools and inspiration and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I'm delighted to have my very special guest today, Becky Lynn Smith. Becky, welcome to the show.
Caroline, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and your audience.
Well, I am delighted, and I want to tell the audience all about you. You are an author and a speaker, and you found your calling by helping others find theirs, right? So after working as an IT executive and leader for several world-class organizations, including Exxon, Amoco, AIM, and Gulf States Toyota, you discovered what success really meant for you. And your fabulous new book, Designing Your Ideal Life, shares what you've learned and about how to arrive at the place you were always meant to be and have the life you were meant to live. So we are kindred spirits, my dear, and I'm really excited to dive into a juicy conversation about your book. So why you, Becky? What happened and what led to these epiphanies in your life?
Well, Caroline, I was probably like many people that you know or that you've worked with, and that is, I spent a good portion of my career climbing the corporate ladder, getting that next rung and going for the promotions and the raises, and I arrived at a place where I had the money and the bonus and the office and the company car, and I woke up one day and I'm like, is this all there is?
Yeah.
I was frankly miserable, and I didn't really know why, and I felt guilty about it. So I realized that wasn't success for me.
Well, and isn't it great that, we are finally evolved as humans enough to figure out that we can define success on our own terms. Now, I say we, right? I think you and I are self-actualized because this is what we do now and we help others figure it out. But so many people define success by money and power, and there are so many other variables.
Well, absolutely. And, if you look up success in the dictionary, it talks about, material things. It doesn't really mention how it's going to make you feel.
Right.
And so I want people to realize that success doesn't really equate to happiness. And I'm on a mission, much like you, that people need to think about what will actually make them happy and then plan their career and their life around that, because what my ideal life is much different from, someone else's ideal life. And so that's kind of why I wrote the book.
Well, good for you, and thank you for being a champion. We need more people like you out there. Good segue, though. Why a book? And you have this incredible companion workbook, which is terrific. It gives you really specific exercises and action steps. But, there are many ways to get the message out. A book is a difficult process.
Well, it is, but I love writing. And
okay.
It's kind of one of those things where when you're really good at something, you may not even realize that it's a talent that you have.
Yeah.
Writing's always been something that was easy for me. And, when I left my corporate career, I bought a business coaching franchise, and I was trying to help business owners. And, you could only help about 20 of those a year, really, and have the time to, do anything else. And a book is a way to help more people and to get the word out. And I wrote the book in such a way that it provides a process that people can go through. If they'll truly sit down and work through it, they'll come out of the other end with an actual action plan that they can go and execute on. And I'm a planner. My career was spent doing project planning, and so I'm all about taking action and getting stuff done. And so that's kind of what I try to help people do, is figure out kind of where they are, where they want to go, and then how can they get there. Because a lot of people really don't think they can or don't know what they can do.
Well, I'm a planner too, and I value that. And what I love about the book, as I said, books, I should say plural, because it does come with a companion workbook. And again, it's like having you right there coaching us through the process, which is so important. So many people read books and other resources, but then they put it down and they walk away, right? Yours is set up with, as you said, action steps and exercises. So how did you come up with those?
Well, I drew a lot of it from my coaching practice that I learn going through that. So you could think it as you said, as a coach in a book.
Yes.
And then I drew and pulled in from client stories, things that I, observed from people that I worked with, things from my own story, which, I can truly say I've been where these people
Mm-hmm.
are and can relate to, the difficulties they face and the challenges and, all those limiting beliefs that, that people have about moving forward, making changes. So that was, and the workbook was really, an opportunity for them to have a place to write things down. They can always go back and download another one and go through it again, if
Mm-hmm.
they reach a point where they need to do it over again. So I was wanting to give them that opportunity.
Excellent. And it is a process, and you're right. We change our minds, so it's good to have that opportunity to do it again, right? So,
Absolutely.
Becky, who's the primary audience? Who will benefit from reading your book?
Well, I'd like to say anybody could, but
Okay.
I think there's about three different kinds of people. There's one that they're kind of at the point I was at, and I'm sure many of the people that are at, and that is they're in a position or a career or a job where they think they need to make a change, but maybe they just don't know what they should do. When I decided to make a change, I woke up and decided I didn't really want another job,
Mm,
which was frightening to me because I'd always had a job, and the whole idea of not having a paycheck was, terrifying.
sure.
And so that was a big step to make. And so I don't necessarily recommend that leaving a corporate job, do a business is the right thing to do for everyone, but it's certainly an option that people can explore if they
Right.
want. Secondly, there are people who are just starting out, in their career, and maybe they've gone to college and they're at a point where they're trying to figure out, okay, what's next. This is a process they can go through to kind of help figure that out, because I think a lot of times people go to college and they do what mom and dad kind of suggested because they don't
Mm-hmm.
really know what they want.
Right.
So this can help clarify. And then third, again, I'll point back to myself. Maybe somebody's kind of in a transition phase where perhaps they're at a point where they may be retiring or getting ready to think about that. And maybe they're not ready to stop working, but they want to do something different. And so this is, again, another opportunity for a process to kind of figure out, okay, what is that next thing? Maybe it's retire from the post office and, work at the zoo. I don't know, but
Any number of things, right. And thank you for defining those categories. I know that many of our listeners probably just perked up and said, ah, that's me. I relate to that. I recognize that. So wonderful to know that it's a multi tiered audience. Becky, you talk about the ideal life in the book. What is the ideal life?
well, first of all, it's different for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
My, my
Absolutely.
my definition of an ideal life is probably much different from yours, Caroline, and from everyone in your audience. We
Mm-hmm.
have to define it for ourselves, and so in the book, I don't try to tell people what success and happiness should be for them. I help kind of guide them through a process to figure it out for themselves. And so, what I do is when I'm taking them through kind of figuring out what it is they really want, I take them through a process of, you call it creating a vision if you want, but I really focus on a vision's too big. People can't do that. I can't do that. But it's about looking at 8 areas. I call them the 8 pillars of their life. And really it's about, your health, your money, your relationships, service. I believe, people need a purpose, need
Mm-hmm.
to serve others. Gratitude, I think, is an important aspect. Spirituality, I think people need to believe or have faith in something. I won't profess what that should be, but they should have that component in their life. Time, we have a very limited amount of time. Life is short, and we
Yes.
need to we need to plan for that. And then finally, the last thing I ask them to look for is their career or their business, because if you don't have those other areas of your life in alignment or know what you really want out of them, you may pick a career or a business that doesn't line up, and then you're going to be miserable.
Well, and thank you so much for giving people permission to say, look, there is no cookie cutter, one size look at ideal life, right? You are designing what that looks like, which is the title of your book, Designing Your Ideal Life. So,
Exactly.
Becky, I'd love for you to walk us through some steps that people can take and really should take to find their ideal life.
Well, I think the first thing that I ask people to do in the book is basically decide they want to be happy.
Mm,
It really is a mindset. And, people say, oh, that's a cop out. Well, it really is. You wake up every day and decide whether you're going to be happy or grumpy. And so I think you have to start with that. And then secondly, they, again, have to get crystal clear on what it is they really want. And so that's part of the process that we take them through is, you know, kind of, okay, what is it I really want to get out of my life? You know, what is really important to me? What are my values? And what are my strengths? And what are my talents? And all those types of things. We help them kind of determine what their starting point is, which is kind of what I call the third step. It's when you're starting on a trip. You know, if I'm going to Chicago, it's a very different trip from Houston, which is near where I live, than it is from Seattle, right? So
Right.
you know where you're starting from, and you got to know where you're going in order to make a plan. And then the fourth step is to create that plan, right? What are the steps? So if I'm you know, going to make a career change, and I'll use myself as an example, I, you know, decided that I didn't like chasing people for money as a business coach. And so I chose to give that up and decided that I was going to go back to school, you know, my third time back to school, my third reinvention. So yes,
Yay.
I can do it.
You can
And,
do it multiple, right?
yeah, and so I'm working on a doctoral degree because I want my retirement career to be consulting, helping people, teaching, you know, because that's the aspect that I really loved in my coaching business. And so there's a plan for that. And so, you know, I might not be able to get a degree in, you know, 1 month, but I can certainly take steps to investigate the programs, right? So it's a piecemeal approach. Figure out what you can do and then take those steps. And then finally, they have to get off the couch and take action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sitting around and complaining about how bad things are doesn't really help you. It doesn't help the people around you. And, you know, and really the secret to living your ideal life is taking focused action on those things that will make you happy.
Brilliant. Focused action. Love it. That's a tweet. Let's tweet that out. Well done, Becky. Now, you and I both know, though, as coaches, right, and people that are passionate about helping people find their own definition of success, there are hurdles that people face. So what are what are some examples that you might share about hurdles that people face and how they might overcome these as they work toward this change?
Well, I think amazingly enough, as you know, the worst hurdles are sometimes in our own mind.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know, we give ourselves all kinds of excuses as to why we cannot go do something when we really want to do it. And so I like to say that the most important breakthroughs come right outside of our comfort zone. And people have to get out of that comfort zone in order to make change happen in their lives. And so, you know, if I'm not comfortable doing something, if I'll just take one step, that's a step, right? And so that's the first thing. And even in a job, if we're miserable, like I was, it's comfortable. So it's fearful to move away from that.
Right.
So first of all, that's the first thing. They have to leave their comfort zone. And then secondly, the other thing I see is that the other hurdle is going to be the people that they love the most. And that sounds a little heartless maybe. And it's not that they don't love you, it's that they don't understand you. You don't understand them, and they don't understand you, so don't expect them to, right? And so it's kind of like if I'm going to change jobs, change careers, you know, whatever, the people closest to me are the ones that feel the most threatened by that because you're also changing their lives. And so you need to reach out to other people for support, perhaps. Other coaches, you know, support groups, focus groups, those kinds of things can be very helpful. But really, they think they're helping with their little bits of advice, and what they really do is kind of crush that little fire that burns within us. So those are kind of the two things that come to mind at this point as far as hurdles.
Excellent. So we need to get out of our own way, and I so appreciate you giving others permission to say it's okay to ask for help, right? And surround yourself with people that will support you and lift you to where you want to go. Well done.
Absolutely.
So Becky, what's next for you? So many exciting things on the horizon. What's cooking in your world?
Well, I'm hoping that this book is kind of the first step in a
Yeah.
broader conversation that we need to have. And Caroline, I so appreciate what you're doing because when I read, you know, what you were doing, it was like kindred spirits because we're very much in alignment
We are. Yeah.
on what we're trying to do to help people. I think everyone deserves to live their ideal life, and I'm hoping that they buy the book, obviously, and you know, life is just too short to spend it miserable. You
And
know,
tell us how we can buy the book and find you online.
well, the book is available on Escaping is available on Amazon.com, and they can reach me on Twitter
Okay.
at Escaping Success.
Wonderful. So we've got a phone call there, but hopefully that didn't deter them. I want to make sure that they heard designingyorideallife.com.
That's exactly right, and that's where they'll go to find more information and to download the workbook.
Wonderful. Well, Becky Lynn Smith, thank you so much. What a joy to have you on the show. Keep up the great work, and I hope our professional paths cross again soon.
I hope they do too, Caroline, and please let me know if I can do anything at all to help you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Becky, and I want to thank you for tuning into Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. True career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you love doing so you can do more of it. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.